everybody. Welcome to Friday here on Coffee Hour. You made it to the end of the week. You pushed hard. You're right there. You just got about 8 hours to go and you'll get it. Thanks for joining me and taking the time out of your day to join me to get your day started, get your week to the end here so we can enjoy the weekend, recoup, get ready to go at it on Monday morning and hammer it out again. If you're new to the show, my name is Paul Abernathy. I've been around the industry for about a minute. And I've been teaching people the National Electrical Code for, over, and I hate to say this, nearly 40 years, whether I've written books and articles or podcasts. I think I was the original OG when it comes to podcasting because I was uploading things to AOL back when it was dial-up for municipalities all over the country, way back. And so, I can't even. It's been close to 20 years. So technology's come a long way. We are able to do this live every day, but podcasts still live on. So I wanted to tell you that I did release two very important podcast episodes this week, and I want you to make sure you go listen to those podcasts. It's two of my 5 tips, and we're going to be doing more of that 5 tip stuff. Because it keeps it under 30 minutes, but they're really important tips. One is how to overcome an unhappy customer. And I think it's an art form that you have to actually practice to do it right. Otherwise, you'll just screw it up and everybody's not happy. And it's going to affect your business. At the end of the day, customers are not always right when it comes to the end picture, but you're not always right either. And both have to come out with some equitable understanding at the end. And there's things to do to help make that happen. So I did a podcast on that episode. It's also going to be a part of series that we do for SEIA as we roll out SEIA, because I think SEIA, as I've talked about it, for those that aren't familiar with that, Certified Electrical Energy Auditor, I think that one, and I'm pushing more towards that, is having to be more of the mental game as well. And so again, that's going to be part of that series and all that type of stuff. Also, I'm excited to say that will be a channel. I believe Jeff said that's going to be a channel over on Fast Track's Tube that is just for SEIA in the future. So that's where we'll have leadership, training, education, how to overcome this sales issues, whatever. But anyway, I dropped 2 podcasts. Go listen to them. If you like podcasts, I love podcasts. Still my favorite medium to be able to get a message. I love to sit down with the headphones and just talk into the mic. And as people say, Paul loves to hear himself talk. Absolutely. So I do that on the podcast episodes. So check it out. There's over 1,000 episodes, by the way, of all different topics. You just have to kind of scroll through them. And it's also easy to get on your phone. So if you get our free mobile app, it's free. Don't go to Google Store or App Store. You just go to our website right there, that website right there. And you go under the navigation, you look under the info tab, and you can get this mobile app. And it's nothing more than a web-based mobile app. It works on your phone like an app. It does everything like an app, but it's simply a link on your phone. And the reason we do that is because it allows us to add things to it and update it in real time. And you don't have to go and re-download anything. That's a pain in the butt. Plus, I don't want anybody in my phone. Okay? All I'm doing is putting a link on your phone. That's it. I don't want anybody in my phone. So anyway, so go check out those. The other one we did was a 5-step. It was overcoming the hesitation of the customer purchasing. I am certainly not Zig Ziglar, but I do have recommendations and ways that I'll be talking about as well. That's not just going to help you in SEIA or help you with your electrical contracting business or whatnot. It can help you in any interaction with the customer that is hesitant on buying. And you know what? I will tell you up front, I am not a snake oil salesman. I do not believe that you should be selling something that you don't wholeheartedly believe in. For example, if you're an electrical contractor and you're pushing surge protective devices and the code says they're required, but you're pushing them just because you're trying to make a buck, I get it. I'm not that kind of guy. I'm not supporting that. You do you, okay? I'm not here to tell you how to run your business. I don't believe in that. So if I push something, I have to believe in it, right? Do I believe GFCIs work? Absolutely. Do I believe AFCIs work? Here, you're going to be shocked to hear this based on my last year or two of ranting. Do I believe AFCIs work? Yes. I believe they work for their intended purpose. I don't believe we should make it the holy grail. I think we should be careful how we expand these things in the code. But do I believe they work? Yes. Surge protected devices, do I believe they work? Yes. Do I believe they can be beneficial? Yes. Do I believe that people say that have never had a problem? Why do I need a surge protected device? Because we can't predict when something happens. Lightning strike, surges, utility lines are being way more stressed out today than they ever were with the introduction of EVs into the systems and all kinds of other things. Switching stations, transformers, we just don't know. So those surges can cause a problem. So I would not go without, I'm just saying me, I would not go without having surge protection on my entire system here in the studio, because I can tell you what I have is an EcoFlow, and everything in here, from the lighting to the cameras to the screens to the switchers to the mixing boards to the printer, everything of mine runs through an EcoFlow, because an EcoFlow is giving me pure sine wave. It's protecting everything. If anything glitches, it's not going to protect my sensitive equipment. Okay. And it's got surge protection built in. And I also run surge strips into it that also. So I do that for me, not being a paranoid guy. I do that for me because, again, this stuff costs a lot of money. So I protect it. But if you have the opportunity to have a whole house surge protection, it can be a cheap insurance policy. I don't know that any SPD company has ever paid out for a claim. I'm sure they have. But I see stories all over the place. I believe it's cheap insurance. Remember, homeowners are going to pay $30, $40, $50,000 to get granite put in, to get things that look pretty for them. I have no problem selling things that I believe in that are safety driven, or I can get a tangible net zero return for the customer, like our energy monitoring systems that we're going to be promoting and pushing and teaching you how to sell them and manage them and how to monitor them for the customer. And that's a program. Okay. I wouldn't do it if I didn't believe in it. Okay. So anyway, that's what we got going on. So today, though, let's talk about what we're going to talk about today. And I'll do some shout outs. But today we're going to be dabbling in, and I don't know, I cannot remember. My mind goes sometimes whether we've already had this discussion on Coffee Hour. I hope not. But we're going to be talking today about the fasteners and specifically for, and I swear I think I did something. I just can't remember if it was a video or a podcast. I can't remember what I did. Maybe we've done a coffee hour on this before, and I can't remember. Somebody let me know if we've done it. Talking about the new listing requirement that's going to come out for the 2026 when it comes to fasteners. Okay. I swear, I don't know if we've talked about this on Coffee Hour. But anyway, that's what I got slated to talk about today, is talking about the change that's coming to the 2026 and how it's going to impact you now, right? That type of scenario. Okay. I don't remember. Somebody let me know. Did we already talk about fasteners in the listing? I swear I can't remember. Anyway, that's what we're going to talk about. Unless you guys have something else you want to talk about, feel free to ask me on in the chat. Let me know in the chat what you think. Also, we're streaming behind the scenes on TikTok. What's up? Shout out everybody out there. We removed our business account off of TikTok, and it's a long story. It's let me just say, it was a ongoing argument between me and my voluntary board of directors who like me to do TikTok. And I have a love-hate relationship with TikTok. But I felt, and this is how I work, guys. I do what they recommend, because it's more heads are better than one. But it was business, and it was a business account, and I kept arguing with them because I wanted to do less on TikTok and all this kind of stuff. And so what it came down to was, they said it's tied to the business, and we are your voluntary advisors that I agree to follow. But that was for the business. So I wanted to honor them. So what I said was fine. So what I did was I terminated the business account on TikTok, right? Okay. Okay, in depth. Okay. So so what I did was I removed the business account from TikTok. So now it's just a personal account. Even though I'm keeping the name Master of the NEC, it is not business driven. So I can do whatever I want on TikTok now. And the people that say, well, you're supposed to only talk electrical in there. Well, they're sadly mistaken because I removed the business profile. Now it's just Master the It's just my personal TikTok account. And I can do whatever I want on it. Okay. And now it's not tied to the business. Okay. So it's tied to me personally. Okay. So you never know what I'm going to put on TikTok because I'm going to use TikTok for that. I'll keep the business stuff business. TikTok, I'll play around on it until they ban me. We've got some e-bikes coming in. I want to do some videos on that, short little videos on TikTok. We got a bunch of little neat things that I want to do on there. Some of them are going to be sponsored videos to earn a commission or affiliate money. That's personal. That has nothing to do with the business. Okay. So for all you out there who are following me on TikTok and you think it's all it is just electrical all the time, you might want to unsubscribe now because I'm going to post other things other than just business related stuff on that account. And if that pisses you off, I'm sorry. Too bad. So sad. Okay. All right. So when I say deep today, we're talking fasteners. We're just going to look at the NEC. We're going to look at the second draft. We're going to hopefully look at the UL standard, which I don't think we've looked at the UL standard for those fasteners or supporting components. I don't think we've looked there yet. And then we'll look at the NEC and see where that's kind of changed, where the change is coming for the next cycle, that type of thing. Okay. And also, I'll talk about how this actually will impact you as the installer, because I know that around the country, you've had various AHJs say something about different straps and fasteners and say they have to be listed, and they loosely use that under the listing. But the straps and fittings, the straps and the staples are not really fittings. So they use that .6 very loosely in the 2023 edition when it comes to listing, but I've never seen a listed staple. Okay. I've seen identified staples that identify it for whether it's to support or secure one cable or two cable, things like that, but not a listing requirement. So that's going to change, and how that's going to impact the rest of you that are in the 2017, 2020, 2023. The only thing that's going to impact you is that you're going to see, obviously, those support components are going to be listed, that type of thing. Now, I believe that they were probably required to be listed under UL 2239, but nobody did it, and the NEC didn't call it out. So if the NEC doesn't call it out, there's a high probability the inspector's not going to call it out. So that all's going to change. Okay. All right. Before we get started in deep into that, let's do some shout outs for folks for taking the time to come here. We appreciate you. What is up, Paul? Glad to have you here. What is up, Crypto? Welcome. Glad to have you here, my friend. We got a CMECP in the house.
Woo, 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 woo. Big dog.
What's up, Jason? Glad to have you here. Got another CMECP in the house. What are you doing there?
Welcome
What's
to
up,
the
David?
Vaughn and Brown podcast.
Big dog.
Podcast where
I got all kinds of stuff starting today. Hitting the wrong buttons everywhere. What's up? We got a third CMECP in the house. And you know what? David was asking about how do you get that registered trademark? I always thought it was Alt 0147 or something like that on your keyword. So you hold the Alt key out and you do 0147. I always thought that produced the registered trademark thing. So I think you have to use the Alt symbols to do it. Alt, and I can't remember what it is. Let me see real quick. Alt 0047. Oh, yeah. It is 0174. Yeah, so it's 0174. So hold the Alt key down in 0174 on your keyboard. You have to have the numeric keypad, okay? And that's how I do it, okay? And Jason hasn't done it either, and neither is David, but you see that Thomas can do it. So you hold your Alt key down after your name and put and type 0174 on your keyboard, that type of thing. That's the only way I know how. That's the only way I know how to do it. You can also probably find that registered mark somewhere and cut and paste it and then right click and paste it. It might work that way as well. Try both ways, that type of thing. All right. So anyway, there we go. So let's see what else we got here. Rob. There you go. That's all it. That's all I got. Let's see here. Old school, you know. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. There you go. Thomas says you can cut and paste it from somebody. There you go. What's up, Manny? Glad to have you here. Thanks for telling me about muting the TikTok. I keep forgetting. Okay. Good morning. I'm feeling good today. I cannot. No, Thomas, it's not copyright infringement because CMECP is a registered trademark. So you can freely use this Circle R after CMECP, and you can also use it after Certified Master Electrical Code Professional on your business cards. You can put the R after that because that is all a registered trademark. For you folks that are CMECPs, you use the mark however you choose. All right, however it benefits your business, your growth, and everything like that. What's up, Douglas? Good morning, Paul. Finally used the wire waffle you sent me. It works great. I was able to connect 4 half-inch EMTs with no problem. What the hell do you mean EMT? You can't use wire waffles with EMT. What the hell are you talking about? What kind of damn, what are you talking about? That's not listed for, they're not listed for use with EMT. What the hell are you talking about? You got that thing confused, Douglas. What's up, Michael? Glad to have you here. Good morning. Good morning, Peter. Glad to have you here, my friend. Rob Melting Toast. Holiday weekend. All you code nerds. That's right. I am off Monday. How about y'all? Y'all off Monday? Next week, I will be shooting a series of videos for SIA. We will be doing a video explaining all the little things about the energy monitor and the professional way to set it up. There's a consumer way and there's a professional way, and it's how you lay things out in the app for your customer. It's also, you're going to have the ability to log in to the web. Well, not you, but the SIA member is going to be able to log into their customer's web version to look at their reports and their user, different types of stuff. And that way they can monitor it for a subscription fee if they want it monitored, or they can do it themselves. It's totally up to the SIA member how they want to do that. We don't care. As between you and your customer, if you want to do a monitoring or do an analysis, I do recommend. We will recommend in training that you stay connected with the customer for at least 2 weeks, so that you can give them assistance as they go through. So again, but that's all part of the training that we're going to be doing. It's really turnkey. It's going to be a no-brainer for that type of training. What's up, Justin R? Welcome. Glad to have you here. I see you, Christopher. I see you with that hashtag win. What's up, Chris? Glad to have you here. Oh, by the way, guys, if you have any questions about SIA long before it becomes officially launched, that you can actually sign up, you have any questions, you always can reach out to me. I'll answer any question on anything, and I'll be very upfront about it. That type of. What's up, big dog?
Woo, 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 woo. Big dog.
Sent you an email. So hopefully, Ruben, you actually got that email. What's up, Keith? Welcome, my friend, code panel member. What's up, John? Glad to have you here. Good morning, my friend, over on YouTube channel. Let's see who else we got in here. Mike, Alex, in the outdoors. Good morning. Glad to have you here, my friend. Santana saying what's up to the morning nerds, those that join us here in the code coffee hour. Paul says, I'm not recalling it, and I've been here since January. So we haven't done specifically talking about and looking at the changes for those fasteners. Good. And Thomas says we have talked fasteners, but never really discussed it in depth. So we'll kind of do that. Try to do that today. What's up, Craig? Glad to have you here. Happy Friday. What's up, Frank? Happy Friday. Okay. Let's see there. There you go. Here, what is Bog Creek Mafia? Good morning, but he's not. He's already asking a question. If you feed a control panel from a main disconnect by a second disconnect, if it is fused instead of putting a breaker in it? I don't understand your question. I don't understand your question. So no matter what it is, every conductor has to have overcurrent protection. The code allows, for example, for you to not to have a breaker at the termination of, let's say, a remote distribution panel if the feeders are protected upstream. And if those feeders are protected upstream to a panel, whatever it may be, and you say control panel, I don't know what that means. Okay. Are you talking about a motor control center? Are you just a big commercial job? Or are you just talking about some kind of control panel? Whatever a branch circuit's feeding it, the overcurrent protection's at the actual point of origin in the panel. Same thing with a feeder that's going out um, to a remote distribution panel. Okay. You can do main lug only, it's perfectly fine. Now, where that changes, if I were to go from one building to another, then of course I have to have disconnecting means at that separate building or separate structure. So then I'm going to have a disconnecting means there because I'm going from one building to another building, and that's going to be under 225. That's outdoor branch and feeder. So it stays within the building. The conductors that come from your main panel, they have overcurrent protection. They can go to a panel inside the same building and not have to have a main breaker. Okay. All you have is your regular breakers, that type of thing. Okay. So I'm not sure I understand your question, but the best I can give you on that. You don't have to. Now, can you have a main breaker in every panel, even the remote distribution panels? Absolutely, you can if you want it. Most cases, all it's going to be is just a switch at that point. What's up, Brandon? Glad to have you here. Good morning. Yep, I use Alt 0174. Is that what you use? It didn't work for you, David? Google won't let you add it? Okay, probably maybe something in your security settings, that type of thing. But you know what? Try cut and pasting it from somewhere. See if that works for you, because it obviously works, because Tom has it on his. So it's how to work. So find that symbol somewhere. Here, I'll put it in the chat for you. There you go. I'll put it in the chat for you. And you can see. Try a different browser, when you log in or something like that. Because I use Chrome for everything, but it is Google. So, but I put it in the chat. You can cut it and paste it in there. Let's see. Let's see here. What up, Petey? What's up, Petey? Glad to have you here. What's up, Sven? I see you in here. Leo, what's up, my friend out there? I believe in Seattle area. Jeremy, what's up, Jeremy? I'm doing good, my friend. Glad to have you here for coffee hour. David A, happy Friday to you, my friend. Glad to have you here. Let's see here. Looks like you are there's a private conversation going on. AJ is asking that disconnect. Is it the exterior distance? Okay, so AJ, y'all have a little private discussion going on if you want there. I just want to show you, David, that there's the @R symbol. That type of thing is added. Let's see. Android has a key for that. So Jason is doing it. It can do it from his phone because Android, depending on the different keyboards. The keyboard that I have on my mobile phone does not have it. So I have to go to Bitmoji or another keyboard to get the R symbol and the TM symbol because it's not on the generic Android keyboard that I use. So that type of thing. So I end up having to do that. You know what I'm saying? There you go, David. Now, how you did that to your CMECP, I guess you'd have to log out and try it and come back in. Let's see here. Don't forget to use #hog for questions. It also helps you a lot. Yes. So I don't talk about it that often because, again, I'm not here to push. I believe it or not, contrary to what most people think about me, I do not push products down your throat. We have a lot of products. Okay. We have our courses. We have Fast Tracks Tube. It's our video platform. We have Trade Hog. We have SIA coming along. What else? I mean, we got all kinds of stuff. I don't push anything down people's throat. You know what I'm saying? If you find it beneficial, great. If you don't use it. Okay. I tell people all the time, I am already in a good place. So it's not like I'm living day to day saying, oh God, please buy a course. Okay. Many people are. Most of them on social media are. They're like, oh God, I gotta get a sale today. I don't need it. You get my products if you need it. Don't do it because I need it. Do it because you need it. That's the key, right? I'm just saying. All right. What's up, Angel? Glad to have you here. I'm doing good, my friend. I hope you and your family and everybody involved in your life are doing great. That type of thing, okay? I am feeling good today. I cannot complain. What's up, Carlos? Glad to have you here, my friend. Love that little kitty in the background there on your picture. That is cool. I love family. So anyway, let's get into today what we're talking about. So here's what we're talking about. Let's go. Let's do this. It's going to be hard for you to see, so bear with me. This is the second draft report. What's up, Josh? Glad to have you here. This is the second draft report. Okay. And to be honest with you, like these notices you see here, most of the stuff has been updated since the last meeting, and we had some NITMAM stuff that needed to change, other types of revisions and things needed to change. But this is kind of what we're going to see right now. With give me a little bit of slack on the fact that some things could change before final acceptance by the Standards Council and publication. But there are certain things that are pretty much going to stay. Okay. Now, and by the way, everybody can look at the second drafts and the first drafts, and you can even look and see what the information is that shows why something changed. Now, not all code making panels are the best with their explanations. I'm going to tell you that right now. Sometimes they're very generic and you can't learn a damn thing from it. Used to be you could learn a lot from it when it was the ROPs and the ROCs. Man, I could read that thing and you could really learn a lot. Sadly, code making panels today, and guilty as charged, it seems to be that everything is brevity and it's not as detailed, even though NFPA representatives keep saying at these meetings, be clear, be clear. It still seems to be that the code panels aren't, all of them, not all of them, aren't clear. And I think that we should make an effort as a code panel to make sure that our explanations of why we reject something or why we're doing something is extremely clear. And we make sure that even if we have to do it line item, say, number one, addressing comment this, address that person's comment directly as coming from somebody who's had a public input and a public comment not addressed, a la the equipment grounding conductor issue in 251.22. Code panel, and I sit on that panel, they dance around the response. They dance around it. And so, again, I don't like that. But again, I'm just one voice in, that type of thing. So, and I'm not even a very powerful voice at that. So anyway, so this is your second draft. And you can go through and pick this. So for us, we're going to start out, okay? Let me tell you. I'm that I'm not a very strong voice. I understand that, Tom. Don't need to be nasty. I'm just playing. All right, so let's see here. If you go down here, and so let's do this. Let's look at the very first one to kind of give you a flavor of what's going on. So let's look at 320. So let's click 320. So this is AC cable. Okay. So I got AC cable out here on the screen, and I'm going to go down here and right here. So this is the listing. Okay. So first thing you'll notice is that the .6 in the NEC, the .6 is now going to be .2. Okay. So it's no .6. It's going to be .2, which used to be cycles ago. It was definitions, right? Then definitions all moved to Article 100, right? In the 2023, everything moved to 100. And so now in the 2026 provision, the .6 is gone, at least in wire and cable, the wire cable parts. So now it's .2. Okay, so this is the listing requirements. Now I will show you, we'll hide the legislative text. This is what it's going to look like. Okay, this is what it's going to look like. Now I can show you what it looks like now so that you can see this change. Let me get 320 geared up here, and I will show you the difference. Okay, so this is right here. What you see on the screen is 2026. Okay, 2026. This right here is 2023. Right, and you see that all it says right here, it says type AC cable and associated fittings shall be listed. Now, up to this point, many of us would try to say that you need to use a MC strap with MC. You need to be identified for use with metal clad cable, for example, or in this case, AC cable, sorry. AC cable under 320. Okay. And so when somebody would use a staple, we would argue that that is not a listed fitting. And then the big argument was, what is the listing for these things? Because there really wasn't a requirement. And so, was a staple a fitting? Was a strap a fitting? No, it's the cable itself and any associated fitting that's listed to go with that cable. That was what that was really trying to say. And of course, we would stretch and say, well, we think, listing, we also think that the straps have to be listed to go with that AC cable or MC cable or AM cable, things like that. And that was really a stretch. And you know what? There was a standard that's been out there for supporting, and we're going to look at that standard. But 2239 has been around, but it wasn't pushed, and the manufacturers weren't pushed to do it, right? So since they weren't pushed to do it, why are they going to do it? Okay. Okay. So at any rate, so that is the 2023, right? That type of thing. Okay. So there we go. So when we get back to the 2026 provision, we see that now under 320, you have the dot two, right? And look how it's expanded. So the following shall be listed and. Remember that little thing I always tell you folks about the word and in the or? When you see or, it's this or that. It's like giving you options, right? When you see and between two requirements, then you know that it's both are required, right? For example, they shall be listed. Okay, so the following shall be listed and they have to be identified. For what? Identified for use with AC cable, identified for that type of use, right? So identification will take place from the manufacturer in the evaluation, same with listing. Okay? It'll be on the packaging. It'll tell you what it's intended for, that type of thing. So obviously AC cable, that didn't change. AC cable was required to be listed. And here is the fittings that was talking about. Okay. And so rather than be very vague the way it was in the 2023 and allow, to go all over the place and use that to manipulate what's a fitting or whatnot, they made it clear that it says type AC cable fittings used for connecting cable to boxes, cabinets, or other equipment. So it's that termination of the AFC. Woo wee! Got to need more coffee this morning. It's the termination of the AC cable with a fitting to a box, cabinet, or other equipment. Now, it wasn't that explanatory. If I'll show you the legislative text, it really wasn't that explanatory. Now, the good news about things like this, folks, if you're into the code, is that you get to look into the mind of the panel to kind of see what intent they meant. So when you saw the words fittings in the 2023 edition for 320.6, it left you to say, well, what's a fitting? Now we can go definition, but we know that basically a fitting is to work with the AC cable. So we could loosely say that a strap was a fitting and then require a listing. The problem with that mentality is that they weren't listed. Now they could be identified for it because there'll be an MC strap or whatnot, but it wasn't listed for it. So now all they're doing is holding the manufacturers accountable to actually get listings for these things. Straps for use with MC. I think most of those straps you're going to see when they get the listing, they're going to be quad listed. They're going to be AC, MC, a broad range of use since they got to go through this now anyway. Unless the manufacturer decides they want to make a bunch of separate products. And again, that's marketing, right? Take something, pull out a feature, enhance it, make another listing, yada, 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 get more money. It's just how it works. But at the end of the day, now it's clear. It says type AC cable fittings used for connecting cable to boxes, cabinets, and other equipment. Now, what we can say is, all along, we thought the fittings were the same as tie wraps, staples, straps, and hangers. They all had to be listed. Okay, so everybody wins, but now it's clear as day, right? So any cable tie you use, staple, strap, or hanger has to be. Now, you might be saying, wait a minute. Whoa, Paul. It still required this in the 2023 edition of the NEC, doesn't it? Under securing in .30. Okay. Well, I just want to go to show you the significance of a change when it comes to something like that. So let's go down and look at that real quick. Let's go look at .30 for 320. Okay. So here's what the language says. It says type AC cable shall be supported and secured by staples. Now, the last cycle, cable ties got brought into the picture because cable ties that are listed and identified for securement and support. I don't know what cable ties wouldn't unless they come from China or something. You're buying them in mass bulk off of Tumu or for Alibaba or whatever, and they just come with nothing. That might be a problem. And obviously it's going to be a problem here, but I would think most of them are going to be listed and identified. Now, when it says listed, that means they have to, they've been evaluated and they're going to have a mark and they're going to pay the money that it takes to get that little mark, right? They're going to pay that money, all right? So, but here it doesn't require staples to be listed. It doesn't require straps to be listed. It doesn't require hangers to be listed. And here's where everybody would tie in, okay, the fitting statement up in .6 in 2023. It would say, and similar fittings, okay? Then they would tie it in there and say, okay, well, we're tying it in there. That's why we want to list it. But where do you find it? You don't find listed staples. You didn't find listed. So it really put the AHJ in a weird position, right? Because they could argue it either way, but AHJs and inspectors should not be here to make the world more complicated. If the product can hold it in place, keep it there where it's supposed to be, then that's not an issue, right? But it also goes on to say, or other approved means. Hold on, we're going to lose TikTok. I hate that feature on TikTok too, that stupid little timeout thing. All right, so it says, or, and this is where most AHJs would allow things like, even if there was an argument over listings in .6, they would say, okay, it is or other approved means designed and installed so as not to damage the cable. So it's designed, it's tie wire, it's smooth, doesn't have any sharp edges in it, all that. So it's basically designed, okay, and I'm installing it, wrapping it around maybe a girder or maybe an I-beam open frame girder, and I'm wrapping it around it. That's not going to damage it. It's designed to be smooth all over it. So I would argue that was okay as long as it was an approved means. And what does approved mean? That means the AHJ is okay with it. And I don't know an AHJ that wouldn't be okay with the tie wire. You don't have to be it's not going anywhere. That's a common sense thing. And that's the other thing that I speak to AHJs all the time is lighten up. Lighten up, okay? The intent is there. Use a little common sense, that type of thing. All right, now, it also is important to note that most of the time, our argument over similar fittings were the fact that it added this language down here to remind you that the cable fittings are permitted to be a means of support. So from a box, say a 4-inch square box, or from a 4/11/16 box, that down to a luminaire, that 6-foot width that's allowed to be unsupported, it's considered supported because of that cable fitting that connects to the box. And then you can go from that last support, which is the fitting, up to 6 feet to the luminaire or piece of equipment. That's why that language had to be added. But I believe similar fittings, okay, are basically encompassing this right here. It's just been added to make clarity, that type of thing. Now, with that said, with this said, how this looks in the 2026 is if we go down to 320.30, and again, I was looking at 320.30 there as well. If we come down here we go. So here's the language, right? So it says AC cable shall be supported and secured by cable ties listed and identified for securement. Now you notice what it says? It says listed staples, straps, hangers, or similar fittings, or other approved means designed design and install so as not to damage the cable. You still, folks, are going to have the AHJ flexibility in here. However, if you're going to use straps, staples, hangers, or similar to that, then they're going to have to be listed. But you do have still the AHJ's ability to allow other approved means that's designed and installed so as not to damage the cable. So that is still there. It's still intact. Okay? Still intact there. It's just now for those specific types of methods for securing and supporting, they have to be listed. So the manufacturers are scrambling to get that done. What standard are they doing that under, you may ask? You might say, well, what's the standard that they're actually doing this under? And I will show you that standard. And that is this one right here, if it'll let me show this standard. I don't know that it wants me to show this standard. Maybe it's not going to let me show this standard. Here we go. It does it here. I don't know why it didn't do it on the other one. So anyway, I'll go over to here and let you see. So here is UL 2239. So this is the standard they're talking about. Okay. And here's the scope. Now, look what it says in the scope. Now, I'm going to remind you that this has been around for quite a long time. This isn't new, by the way, okay? And we can look at this. So this isn't new, all right? I will go back here to the beginning real quick. And this is a standard. So this is a standard for safety. It's a hardware for support of conduit, tubing, and cable, okay? Second edition, 2015. That type of thing. But so it's been changed, been revised. Okay. Let's see here. Where else can we look down this standard? Let's see here. All right, reprinted in 2024. So again, they're getting ready. Their reprint this was getting ready for the change. So they obviously did some work on this. Let's see here. And I don't know if it gives the origin history. I don't know. I know there's places you can look for that and find the origin history, but I don't know where the origin is or when it started. Let's see here. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Okay, so let's look in here what we're looking at here. So here's the scope. So this is 2239. This is for listing now of those staples, those straps. It says, these requirements cover hardware for the support of conduit, tubing, cable, such as hangers, staples, straps, and similar devices for installation in accordance with the National Electrical Code NFPA 70. Now, this brings me to one thing that I always hate about UL standards and the NEC. Okay? The NEC says or similar fittings, whereas the standard says or similar devices. I don't like the fact that the NEC says similar fittings, although I believe what they're talking about to me is the connectors that are fittings that also meet the securement or supporting requirement as well. I don't like the language. Because I think it should say in the NEC, and I didn't submit it, but I didn't necessarily agree to this change. I didn't think that it needed to be listed for that type of thing. But anyway, for me, the one crux of this is it's going to raise the price of something as simple as a staple because it's got to be evaluated now, right? And all this kind of stuff. And it's just going to be more price increases. And we've all come to be used to that by now anyway. But it says in the standard and similar devices, whereas this one says or similar fittings, things like that. So I think personally, I think they should use the or similar devices, that type of thing. But then we come into the definition of devices. So if we use devices, then we run into the issue of the definition of a device. And so again, maybe that's why the NEC used fitting. Point is, straps, staples, hangers, cable cleats, things like that, all of that stuff's got to be evaluated under 2239 now, and it'll have a listing on it. Now, how's that going to impact you? If you're in the field and you're in the 2020 or even the 2023, no, an inspector cannot force you to use a listed staple. They can't. They can argue that .6 one, like we said, and but why would you? If it's installed and it's not moving everything, then I would just approve it. It's not going to damage the cable. It looks like it's not damaged. I'm fine with it. Those are argument points that I watch these inspectors all the time want to pound their chest for that kind of crap. That is so petty type of stuff. Although you say, well, code's code. No, it's not. No, it's not, because they have the ability to approve it. If it's designed and it's not to damage it, then what's the harm? Okay. So, let's see. Franklin says, good morning, everyone. So using bare steel wire is no okay for strapping the cable. Isn't okay. Why not? Why not? So let's just use MC cable. Let's use that mentality real quick. Let's use MC cable. All right. And let's go look at the new code. Let's use that, Franklin. Let's go look at the new code here. We'll use that theory. All right. You've got some MC cable. Let's go to MC real quick, because we're talking all these. Let's see. This is the 2023. Okay. All right. So let's hide legislate. So here is the .2 listing requirement. This is what is required to be listed. MC cables required, cable ties, straps, hangers, and staples. Okay. All this stuff is required to be listed, right? Right? Yeah, low-hanging fruit. Well, that's just they just do that shit to justify their existence sometime. And look, I'm saying this as an inspector, as somebody who ran a jurisdiction of inspectors. Okay? I'm just being real with you. If my inspector came to me because they failed a job because a guy secured MC cable with tie wires and it was secure, I would have a personal conversation with that inspector and say, really, I've got bigger things for you to do than worry about that. You just make sure they're securing it every 6 feet. You just make sure they're doing that part of it. Other than that, I don't have a problem with it. Okay. So anyway, so here's the secure. Okay. So look right here. Okay. I want you to see this. I'm going to hide the legislative text. Okay. So this was for, who was this for? I'm sorry. I couldn't remember who I was doing this for. Who was this for? I can't remember who I was doing this for. I'm sorry. My mind. Franklin. Here we go, Franklin. Okay, look. So it says MC cables shall be supported and secured by one of the following. This is 2026 that's going to come out. Cable ties that are listed and identified for securement and support. Listed staples, cable cleats, straps, hangers, or similar fittings. Okay. Similar fittings, we're going to just loosely say that they're similar to this. Means their design is to secure and support a cable. That's what we're going to call similar fittings. Not sure I like the verbiage, but we'll call it that. Then you still have this one. It says other approved means designed and installed so as not to damage the cable. I think that tie wire that is smooth all around is designed to not damage anything. There's no sharp edges on it. It's smooth. It's designed and installed so as not to damage. It's designed and installed not to damage cables. Not saying designed for MC cable. It says other approved means that is designed and installed so as not. So as long as they install it and it doesn't show evidence of damaging the cable, I think you still can use tie wire. I don't have a problem with it. Really. But the moment that I choose to use a staple, a cleat, a strap, a hanger, maybe put them on hangers, trapeze, then I need to make sure they're listed. But if I want, but the AHJ still has ultimate acceptance, right? Let me give you an example too. Let me give you an example. Encore Wire and Prismium and General Cable and all that have this product called Gravity Grip. And it's a product that's designed to go on MC cable to compress the cable so the conductors don't slip. Because even in MC, when it's running vertically, the conductors can slip just like they're in a raceway. And for years, I've been teaching people how to put offsets. Now, some manufacturers make a product that is designed for the conductors not to slip. And most of the 1569 standard means that with a pull-out test, the conductors are not supposed to slip. But let's be real. If I'm running a long vertical run and I've got copper conductors can be as much as 5 pounds a foot, and I'm running at 150 feet up, is there a probability that those conductors could slip? Yeah, there is. No different than they could slip in a raceway that is run like that. And we're required to put vertical supports in that. So we're not required to do that for MC cable, but we do know that it could slip out. I mean, let's be real. I've been there, seen it, um, witnessed it. Okay. So at the end of the day, we know what the standard says, but you also have to remember that the standard doesn't mean that we test every cable. I didn't know if y'all knew that. You only have to test one sampling, and it's 4 gauge and large. So you could test it at 4. It is not going to be the same as if it's 500 kc mils in there. Trust me. But as long as it passes at 4, then it passes at 500 kc mil. I know. That's just the way the standards work, right? And so at the end of the day, could it slip? Well, I've been teaching people to do offsets in it for years. Use the same concept of 300.19, put an offset wherever it would have said put a support. For example, in a raceway with conductors, I do the same thing with MC, just put an offset wherever it tells you that a support would be if it was a raceway. But remember, MC is not a raceway, it's cable assembly. So at the end of the day, we know that it can slip. So Encore Prismium has a product called Gravity Grip, and it's designed to go around the cable so that it compresses the conductors in there. Now, they're going to be getting it listed under 2239 as a fastener, as a support mechanism. But that listing has nothing to do with the secondary inherent part of it, is compacting the actual conductors from slippage, because 1569 doesn't require anything additionally than the testing. And there is no listing for that compression part of it. It's just a support mechanism. So it's going to be listed for that, right? But it's also going to have a secondary benefit, and that means conductors will not slip. So we're getting ours listed for the support requirement under 2239, but a byproduct of that is the internal securement of those conductors, right? It's called Gravity Grip. Now, can you buy those Gravity Grips today? Absolutely. Can you use them today? Absolutely. Do they have to be listed? Absolutely not. Under the 2023 code, they do not have to be listed, that type of thing. And they are designed not to damage the cable. They compress it. Convolutions of an MC cable, it's a convolution. It's interlocked and it moves. These Gravity Grips take advantage of that flexibility or that ability for that MC cable to be compressed. And it's very small amount. You'd be surprised. But you do that every support location, which is every 6 feet for MC cable, unless it's over 250 kc mil or 250 and larger, I believe. Then you can go up to 10 feet vertically between support. Anyway, it puts enough compression on it. Okay, so at the end of the day, or you can do the traditional offsets if you want, whatever, but they're called Gravity Grips, and they are in the process like everybody else. They're scrambling at the home office to get those listed, but they're only going to be listed as a cable cleat, okay, under 2239. They're not getting listed as the slippage component, which doesn't require a listing anyway. So that's just a product of Prismium and Encore Wire and General Cable and all that used to be all together now. So again, that's a unique product, and it has a great need in this industry for that product. Okay. So, but I'm a believer that I believe that it technically you could get around it, except for the fact that it's probably going to be called a cable cleat. But an AHJ could approve it because it basically has a double function. It's not just a support mechanism, but it is also has an internal component. So I almost think that you could argue that falls under the approved means designed and installed so as not to damage the cable. And that is what it is. So I could argue that it doesn't actually need to be listed because it's not being used simply as a cable cleat. Okay. So anyway, but we're going to get it listed anyway. But I'm just saying that's how you have to look at the code. And that's what the way the code talks about those different things. Okay. So yes, I think, Franklin, that you're perfectly okay to use a steel tie wire. I think it's perfectly fine. Now, if we look at, especially even in the 2026, I think you're going to be fine. Now, if we go look at 334, Same concept. There's .2 as well, right here. And it says, and I'll get rid of the legislative text. This is what it's going to look like in the 2026 edition. NM cable and NMC. Nobody makes NMC anymore. You're just going to refer you to UF cable. It also says the same kind of stuff listing wise in 340 for UFB as well. So underground feeder and branch says the same thing. But here, cable ties, straps, all of that have to be listed and identified. Here, now, see where this is different? Check it out. Pay real good attention here. It says type NM and NMC cable fittings used to connect cables to boxes, cabinets, and other equipment. They also have to be listed. And that's the way it said it before. That did not change, okay, when it comes to that. So any of these things have to be listed. The cable has to be listed. These things have to be listed. And of course, any connector, it's got to be listed, right? So then we're going to scroll down and look at its .30. Never forget there's a .30, okay? Because all that was a listing requirement telling you what's got to be listed. I had another person ask me one time, they said, Paul, does what did he say? He says, does everything that gets used in the NEC have to be listed? And the answer to that is absolutely not. Normal boxes, metal boxes don't necessarily require listing. Metal wireways that are used interiorly indoors do not have to be listed. Non-metallic wireways have to be listed. Use of a product in a specific application. If I have a box and it's being used as a floor box, then it has to be listed. If I'm using it in a hazardous location type of thing, it's got to be listed. If I'm using it outdoors and it's got to meet a certain rating, it's got to be listed. If I'm just making a metal junction box or something for use inside of a building, does not have to be listed. So there is so many misconceptions as well about that. The code will tell you what has to be listed and what does not, or what can be accepted. Now, there are standards out there that you can get. Did you know that you can actually go and pay to get a listing on all kinds of products for all different classifications, even though not necessarily required for use in the NEC? Because the NEC is a voluntary document that is adopted by jurisdiction, right? So it's making recommendations is really what it's doing for a minimum safety status. So keeping things minimally safe as we can. Can you go over and above the NEC? Sure. But you got to be careful because sometimes people go over and above and they screw things up. And then it makes it unsafe. Grounding and bonding, that's very common. That type of thing. You get me? So again, I just don't want the misconception. That's why it makes the reference to listed. That's why it makes the reference to labeled. That's why it makes the reference to identified. And all those things are uniquely different and defined in Article 100 of the National Electrical Code. Okay, in case you want to go and read definitions of all that stuff. All right, so now let's look at, this is non-metallic sheet. So interesting, it says non-metallic sheet cables shall be supported and secured by, here's your cable ties that are listed and identified for securement. Check. Or listed staples, straps, hangers, or similar fittings designed and installed so as not to damage the cable. Okay? So it's same language that's in there. Notice it says, or similar fittings, something that is similar to staples, straps, hangers, or that type of thing. It's very similar, okay? But it's designed, and when we say similar, not that it's in the shape of a staple, but it's similar fitting. Means it's designed, it's being used for a supporting and securing component. So I still believe this gives the leeway to the AHJ to be able to do that. Okay. Now, in this case right here, you notice it doesn't say, notice right here, it doesn't say or similar fitting approved. The word approval is not in there anywhere. Okay. So we're taking out the involvement of the AHJ on that one, right? So again, if it's similar to those, then you know what? I'm going to use it. But in this case, I will remind you that this language, how this reads right here, okay? All this, if it had said and similar fittings, right? That type of thing, then it would be different, okay? All right, so let's see here. Where are we at? Okay, that's, I don't know if there's a one more. Oh, I wanted to show you, I'll show you 340 so you can see that that is actually the same too. So here's 340. There you go, right here. So I'll hide the, there you go. So what is required to be listed moving forward when it comes to uh, UF cable, for example? All right, cable's got to be any cable tie straps, staples, or hangers that's used with it, and of course any of the fittings that are going to transition between a cable to a box, that type of thing, or other equipment. That also has to be listed and identified for use with UF cable. Okay, does that make sense to everybody? Hopefully that makes sense to everybody. That's the changes when it comes to that. So your staples are what's going to happen now. Okay, so for you folks that are on an earlier edition, 2023, 2020, 2017, you're not going to know any different. You're just going to buy it, and staples are going to have a little mark on it. Not the staple, because that would be too onerous to do that. It'll be on the box, and it'll have listed on it, and it has been evaluated. And it'll have to do enough, it'll have to be evaluated so that it's pulled, so it doesn't rip the jacket. But you know what? Here's the thing. And I think one inspector, Jesse, over on TikTok, was somebody that submitted a public comment, a response to this listing requirement. And he used staples as an example. And I get it. And I agree with Jesse on this. Do we really think that whether a staple is listed or unlisted, it is going to make a hill of beans? Really? You're going to install the staple the same way. Nobody cares. Really. If you install it improperly, you're still going to damage the cable. So to me, my only problem with this is I just look like, it almost smells again like just a UL or a third party NRTL's money grab. Okay. And I don't want to call nobody out, but I'm going to go back to the code real quick, or the lesson. I don't want to call nobody out, but I am interested to see who put in this public comment. I'm interested. I want to look and see. All right. Well, this one was okay. This was a wasn't agreeing to it. Okay. So all right. So I'm on a mission now, folks. Hold on. I want to go back and look at the report on public inputs really quickly. Okay. Bear with me, guys. Let me go back. I want to go back and look on the report of public inputs. Bear with me. All right. Hopefully I get this straight. All right. Hold on. This was a second draft. Hold on for a second, folks. Let me go back. I want to go back. Oh, I'm having a hard time. Okay. Here's the here. Let's see. Let's go home. Let's go to. I want to go to. Hold on for a second, guys. This is not letting me see everything. So hold on. Let me start over. Let me start over. Let me start over. I want to see who submitted this for Fasteners. Okay, I'm curious. All right, so here's your first draft. This is where it got started. I'm just curious, folks. Let's see who submitted this requirement. And so let's see. Let's go to the first one. Let's just go to 330 and let's see. Go to 330. And let's go to that. Okay, here we go. So here is the submission. Okay. And this was what it was going to be at first: support and securement hardware. But that got rejected for the current language you just saw a minute ago. But I'm interested. Who submitted this public input? Let's see here. All right. Here it is. 2883. This is the public input. This is what you and me both can submit. Anybody can submit public inputs. Let's see who the culprit is that submitted this. Well, well, well. Huh. Interesting. That's quite interesting. Quite interesting. I'm just going to leave it out there, you know. And here's what the code panel said. So here's a change, and here's what the code panel said. Committee statement. Section 330.6 has been relocated to a new section 330.20 due to the new required parallel numbering format of the NEC style manual. New listing requirements have been added to support and secure hardware, and requirements have been broken out into list format. That's it. Here's the ballot. See who all voted. Okay. All right. Affirmative. Okay. Who was negative? All right. We have some negative. So here is a manufacturer. NEMA does not support the mandatory listing requirements of cable support hardware other than cable ties. No field evidence of a problem has been submitted. Listing of supporting hardware such as 2x4s is unrealistic for listing. Okay. That could be argued as supporting hardware, by the way. The HA needs to leeway for approval all security and supporting hardware other than cable ties. So that's where it got started. And at the end of the day, it progressed to get rid of just the generic language of this support and securement. And that's why it broke it out into cable ties, staples, hanger. That's what happens when things progress through from the public input to what's called the public comment stage, where it gets refined a little bit better and things like that. But I do believe it was still spoken out against. Let's see. Let's go back and look here real quick. We want to see what was said again. So this is the public comment stage. I just want to go look real quick since I'm at it and we're doing this. This is neat because you get to see where the mentality was. So here we go. All right. And I'm going to look at the public comments here. So here's where you see they didn't like this, right? They didn't like that. So the public seeks to remove. All right. And that's again is NEMA, which David was represented from NEMA on the committee, Dave Watson. Rejected but C. And this is where they brought up the 2239. Said it's been published nearly 20 years ago, right? And here is where they get rid of that. And Don's a great guy. He does a lot of submittals as well. So anyway, that's where they corrected. But I can tell you they had already made a decision, okay? They've already made a decision, and this is where their panel. To address the submitter's concerns, the panel replaced the general term with a specific items already specified in dot 30 to avoid damage to cable and undue stress on electrical connections. The use of a listed hardware for support and securement of cable is necessary. I, again, am not sure exactly, for example, why a staple, whether it's listed or not, is going to make a difference on whether or not you damage that cable. Probably not. And in 334, it's the same thing, just so you can see it. Here it is. There's two public inputs, right? And you have another one down here. Same thing. There you go. So anyway, that's just some extra information for you if you didn't know. Let's see. Also down in 330, 334.30. Let's just see. I know I'm putting you all to sleep, but I wanted to show you. Okay, so here is the argument that Jesse made, and I agree. And the problem is Jesse probably should have made this to all of those areas, whether it was for NM, MC, whatever, but it wouldn't have changed anything. Okay, he's talking about listed staples. Okay, what's the purpose? And his rationale is there was no substantiation provided that unlisted staples presented a hazard at all. The code already requires that staples be installed so as not to damage the cable. A listed staple will do nothing to stop cable from being damaged. That's a common sense response that totally got blown off by the code panel because a 2239 standard does exist. And of course, it was brought up by a testing body. And I can promise you they get a lot of money every time that mark is used. But at the end of the day, there is a standard out there. So I'm not slamming them. I'm just saying all we're doing now is making these things have to meet the listing. However, you do still have that other approved means application that somebody could use to get around that scenario. Okay. It's just being creative in how you use it. Okay. All right. Anybody got any questions in here? Let's see here. Rob says the way some of this sounds, one might think that it would not be long, and there will be dictating what type of screws you can use for the type of strap. Actually, They kind of do. They kind of do. 110.3B would probably kick in a lot. So if you use a strap, well, probably not as bad as it could get. For example, if you do have to use fittings or fasteners that if it's in a wet location, they're not going to corrode. So they're going to dictate that you use in a wet location. They're going to dictate that the fastener and the type of screw you use is going to be corrosive resistant. Remember, there's also other areas in the code where it says, for example, you cannot use a sheet metal screw for things like that because, again, it doesn't give you two full engagements. So in a way, we are telling you. In 210.8, we're giving you a list and we're telling you that can be machine screws or self-tapping as long as it's two full threads. So in a way, we are telling you certain things. So yeah, there's liable to be a time where they will tell you the exact type of screw that you have to use or the exact type of machine screw that it's got to be this or that or this. But obviously, it has to be rated for the environment anyway. You wouldn't use a sheet metal screw, for example, or a sheetrock screw or a gypsum board or drywall screw, which people do use it for things other than what it's supposed to be doing. Now, we'd have no listing for those screws, but we know that the sheetrock screw is identified for use with sheetrock and gypsum. It certainly can't be used for bonding. Obviously, it's not going to give you two full threads. It was never evaluated that. It wasn't evaluated on any of that type of stuff. So again, at the end of the day, we should be careful. We do have to be careful what we ask for because the moment somebody does submit something like that, the next thing you know, we'll be having to use specific types of screws. You're right, different type of things. But we already have a little bit of that in the code. They are dictating certain things, especially the environment. Does that make sense? Okay. All right, guys, let's go on and spin the wheel. Hopefully you got something out of the day. If you didn't, too bad. So sad. It is what it is. It's Friday. I wanted to have a lighthearted discussion on Friday and let you know that straps, staples, cable cleats, hangers, all of that, you're going to start seeing probably sooner than later that they're going to, especially after the 2026 comes out later this year, you're going to start seeing the little listed mark on the products. And I am pretty sure that they don't have to do a whole heck of a lot to pass 2239. They just never did in the past because nobody made them do it. And this language ain't perfect, right? This ain't perfect language, but it'll get better. And AHJs just have to use a little common sense, and that's all. That's all. Just a little common sense. Okay. All right. All right. Let's get to a contest. Let's give some stuff away. Let's see here. Spin. Added on the next cycle. Those will be in. I'll show you some of those here in the next couple of weeks. I've had one person reach out to me and say, Paul, is it possible if I get one of those with a QR code on it? Or can I get one that goes to my payment page on their online or their website? And I'm like, so you want us to customize it? And he said, yeah, because he says, I want to give one to all of my technicians. And when they go out, what they can do is they can have it and they can take it and they can say, here, just scan it on their phone and it will take them to their payment page. And then I thought one better. I said, well, wait a minute. Why don't you create a free Linktree account? Free. It's free. Linktree. It's free. And why don't you do the QR code to the Linktree? And that way you can share it with people wherever you're at, kind of like the RFD cards, the NFC cards, but it's QR code and they can scan it on their phone, right? And they can go to your Linktree. So they can go to your contracting site, your payoff page, your maybe go to a page that they say thank you. So they can do your Google Yelp or your Yelp, your Google, your all that type of stuff, which you all should be doing. You should be always asking for a referral in your business if you care about growing your business. But when he said that, I got to thinking, that is brilliant. So what we will be doing is offering these, whereas in the comments, when you buy it, you can put the website or your Linktree address that you want it to point to. And that way, whatever you change on your Linktree, you never have to change the code. And that way, your technicians can have it. And when they go and somebody wants to pay a bill, they can just take their hat or actually, they'll actually clip on a lot of things, not just a hat. And you can actually go, well, just scan this, and this will have where you can pay. And it also will have where you can give us a review. And also, if you're smart, you'll put on there your recommended plumber, a recommended mechanical guy, anybody that's in your network of friends, and work with them, and they can do the same thing. So now those people will have that on their phone. All they got to do is scan that QR code, and it's a link tree, and the link tree is free. And we're going to be doing a video to show you how to do that. But think about it. I'm always thinking of ways that are going to make your business better. And so one guy recommended that to me, and I'm like, he didn't go as far as the link tree. That was me. But I said, brilliant, brilliant. So when that becomes available, when you purchase them for the QR code, what will be on there will actually be where in the comments you actually put your website or you put your link tree or whatever, and we will make sure that the QR code on there will point to your whatever you want it to point to. That's going to be customized, and that's going to be brilliant for service folks. Definitely. Okay. I'm just saying that's going to be brilliant. Linktree is a free service, and it's amazing. Okay. They have a paid version too that lets you do all kinds of stuff, but the free one's all you need. Anyway, I'm always got these good ideas, dude. All right. Skedaddle, skididdly doo, you're in the drawing for an Ohms wheel coin. Congratulations on that. Hopefully you win that. Those are awesome coins. Let's spin again. Anybody thinks that QR code idea is a neat idea? Give me a hell yeah. Let's go. You need to, God, you need to be support promoting your Frank. All right, Frank, you're in the drawing for the, well, no, yeah, you're in the drawing for the free 2023 flashcards. Okay, so if you win that, Frank, we will put that in your profile on fasttracksystem.com. And those are just great. I had some people post that they look at them at lunchtime. They just go through their flashcards. It's just going to make you better with the articles. It's going to make things easier for you to maneuver, right? That type of thing. Okay. So yeah, I'm just thinking that little thing on your hat or on your uniform or on your badge or whatever is going to be an awesome idea, dude. All about marketing, baby. Just saying. Sell. Teach you how to do it. Make sure you go watch or listen to those two podcasts that we put out this weekend, or not this weekend. I think it's yesterday or whatever. It automatically launches. Make sure you go listen to those, because I'm going to teach you how to overcome an unhappy customer, and I'm going to teach you how to get past the hesitation of the sale. Okay, go watch those. All right, so let's do here. Let's spin again. Give something else away. You. I think you've already gotten a wire waffle before. I know you want a slate coaster. I know, Paul. Well, there you go, Paul. You're in the drawing for the slate coaster. Boy, how did that work out? You'd think that that's rigged, wouldn't you? But it's not. All right, one more and we'll go. One more drawing, guys. These are awesome, Paul. I ain't gonna lie. Now, this is the pie wheel one, but the other one's neater than these. The electrician ones are neater. Angel, that was cool, wasn't it, Paul? It was almost like it was planned, but I promise you it was not. Angel Luis, you were also in the drawing for the slate coasters. Very limited on those. Those sell very well on website for some reason. Most people buy them in a set of 4, but you buy them individually. But it's just a slate coaster. Here's a tip for anybody out there that is getting slate coasters. It's the best cup coaster you can get, because slate absorbs moisture. You do not want to shellac these things. You don't want to put a coating on them. You don't want to do anything. And don't worry about the etching, because that's down in the stone. You want to leave a slate coaster natural, because it helps absorb water and it keeps it from running off. The moment that you put some kind of clear coat on it, the water will just run right off it, defeats the purpose of the coaster. There you go. That's your tip of the day. Okay, there's your tip of the day. All right, let's get it back to me. All right, folks, I appreciate you. Do me a favor. Take some time to go to Fast Tracks Tube, watch a video. This video will be up on Fast Tracks Tube probably in the next hour or so. So if you're going to go watch it, it'll be under the Coffee Hour series. So there's a series tab. Go there under Coffee Hour. You can watch it. If you want more information on SIA and all of this stuff like the mentoring and the sales tips and overcoming sales, which that 5-part series that's on Master the NEC podcast is all part of a video that's going to also be a version under SIA. If you're interested in that, go watch the video on Fast Tracks Tube about SIA. It's a replay from the other day, but I got rid of all the other stuff, so it's just about SIA. Go check it out if you're interested. If you're not interested, don't. I want to help you grow your business. I want to help you add services to your business. I want to help you offer things that you could offer now, but you struggle because you don't know how to market it. You don't know how to talk to customers about it. I want to help ease that pain. And I want to make you more money. Dude, that's what it's all about, right? We're in business to make money. We don't sell snake oil, don't sell false dreams. We have a return on investment, and we try to make it net zero for the customer. That is the beauty of SIA, right? Okay. Anyway, hopefully you got something out of today's episode. If you didn't, sucks to be you. If you did, you're welcome. Till next time, folks, stay safe. God bless. We'll catch you on Monday where we'll have a fresh new coffee hour. Till then, stay safe. God bless. Hold your family close. Take care. Actually, I have to come back. So all of you that are still here, I'm sorry. I have to come back. Okay. I was getting ready to go, and I realized that somebody waved at me and said, Paul, that's not accurate. And here in the office, and absolutely right. We will not be having a show on Monday in honor of Labor Day. So it's a Labor Day weekend. We will not have a show on Monday. We will be back on Tuesday. We will not have a show on Monday. Okay. There you go. So yeah, I just wanted to make that clear. We will not be doing a show on Monday morning because of the Labor Day weekend, and we're going to enjoy the day off on Monday, and we'll get right back to the grind on Tuesday, the 2nd. All right. All right, folks. Till next time, stay safe. God bless. Be careful out there. Enjoy your weekend.